Good morning, and welcome back to cold, snowy Northeast Tennessee. We've got a few service calls to run this morning, so I thought I'd bring you along and see if there's anything worth watching. This first call is pretty typical of heat pump country. People wake up in the morning and the temperature's about 63 in the house. It does okay during the day when the sun's out, but every night it cools back down to 63. And what that typically is the electric heat not working at all, or the defrost, or not turning on when the defrost, calls for it to. So first thing I'll check on this, I think it's an older train package unit. I'll check and make sure the electric heat's getting power, and if it's getting power, we'll check the whatever it's got, whether it be a sequencer or a relay or something, make sure that it's actually pulling in when it gets to 24 volts. She's running this morning. Let's pop in here and see what the electric heat's doing. It's warm in there. First thing I'll do is check, see if it's pulling any amps. No amps. Of course, it may just not be on right now. It's hard to do it one-handed. Let me set you down for a second, take this cover off. Oh, shoot. Now this has 120 or 245 volts on the outgoing side of the contactor, yet we were pulling no amps. Okay, now it's pulling amps. Now it's not pulling amps. I heard the limit open up or something. I need a tripod. Okay, that is the limit opening up, and I'm not getting any real amp draw on the blower motor right now, so I need to start checking there. Motor is as hot as a firecracker, so I'm sure the thermal limit's open on it. May just have a bad motor, but I'll check the capacitor. That's the first place to check. Okay, so the capacitor checked good. It's this larger one down here, 7.5 microfarad. So I switched the speed tap. This is for the motor. It was on low speed. I switched it to the high speed tap. You can see that one there doesn't have any other anything on it. It's just a parking terminal. I don't think that'll fix it, but sometimes if you have a motor where a lead has come off internally, sometimes another speed will work until you can get them a new motor. What's this thing supposed to have? Indoor motor, 1.6. Full load amps, 1995 unit, 2-ton. Okay, I'm going to turn the power back on and see if this motor will come back. Okay, the thermostat has a delay, so I just hooking the green to the red here, and I'm getting no motor. I'll check and make sure the relay sending power, but the motor's hot, so it's been getting juice. I think it's just the motor's gone. We'll probably know in a minute when it comes back. I don't know. It feels real tight. It's pretty tight. It don't spin very good when you give it a twirl. I'd say the bearings have gotten hot in it, and it locks down after it runs for a while. So this one's going to need a motor. Well, Johnstone has several US motors. I think it's like a 1971 quarter horsepower, pulls 1.6 amps, something like that. So that thing already has a bracket on it, so it's had the motor changed sometime, and it's what is that, 25 years, 25-year life. So we're gonna put another one on it. The old fellow that lives there, he's disabled. So the electric heat works and the heat pump part works, so I never tell anybody to junk one when it's a motor. If it was a compressor or we got our motor. The nice thing about that particular unit is it's got that ring around the blower housing that the motor mounts to that's bigger than the blower wheel. So you can take that row of screws out and you pull the motor and the ring and the mount and the blower wheel out as one piece, and you leave the rest of the housing inside the unit. The way it's screwed in there, you'd probably never get it out. The bad part of those is it seems like you have to take the entire top off, and that was back when they used to put all them plastic louvers on everything, ground effects I call it. But you got to take all that plastic garb off, or at least get it out of the way to get to the screws to the lid to the top to take the top off to get the motor out. So it's not as easy as some of the newer stuff. Okay, got the door back off, and here's what I'm talking about. Got this ring around here you can take off so the blower wheel now will pull straight up, but there's not enough straight up to get out of there. See how tall this blower is? It's 2 hands high, and this is 1 hand high, so top's got to go. Here's these plastic covers I was referring to. See, there'll be screws to hold this top on, like the ones I'm taking out down through here, and you can't get to them without removing these covers, or at least removing most of the covers. The condenser fan motor hangs off of it over there, and I really don't want to go unhooking it. It's probably plugged on, but I think I can lay you guys down, get this wires worked out of there, and get them screws out, and I can pick it up with one hand, pull the motor out with the other, and not have to take the entire top off. I left the disconnect out for the electric heat, but hooked it back up so the heat pump, if it wanted to come back on, could run, and it was running, and the motor was running when I got back. But it's very tight, and it's very, very warm to the touch. So I'll get started fitting this new motor in. Well, with a little bit of this stuff, the blower wheel slipped right off. This stuff stinks, but it's really good penetrating oil. I have had some you couldn't budge, all rusty, and I've sprayed this on them, then walked away and come back in a few minutes, and the blower wheel has slid down onto the motor just by its own weight. So I like it. Oops, you okay in there? You just ain't gonna set up, are you? Motor's been pretty warm. She's melted the label. Here's our new replacement motor out of the box. We'll get rid of these rubber mounts. We don't need them. We'll get rid of this sticker. We don't need it. So that's what we're left with. So I'm going to fit it into the existing bracket and start looking at the wiring. You can see the old motor has an arrow on it. It's turning clockwise, looking at the lead end, which is the end opposite the shaft. So sitting down in here like that, it's turning clockwise, and if you look at the blower housing, you can tell that's correct. So I need to make this one turn clockwise on the lead end. And they'll have a little diagram on here. It tells you. It don't actually say on this, but it does on this little sticker I started to throw away. For counterclockwise rotation on the lead end, you'd go yellow to yellow and orange to orange. However, for clockwise rotation, we need to go yellow to orange and orange to yellow. So that just means these little reversing leads here have to be swapped, and they got a male and a female, so you can't get them wrong. They'll only go together 2 separate ways, clockwise or counterclockwise. So with our opposing colors connected, we know that's going to be clockwise rotation, so rotation should be correct. I don't know if any of these wires will be long enough. It's got the 2 wires for the capacitor. And on these motors, if you've ever tried to put one of these in and you only had 3 wires, like a lot of factory motors come, the one brown wire that has the white stripe, that is essentially the same as the common, which on this motor is going to be white. Confirm that, yes. So these 2 wires, the brown with the white stripe and the white, go to exactly the same location inside the motor. So you don't have to use the brown with the white stripe if you don't want to. However, in this case, it's probably just as easy to keep it. Now, on a warmer day or a newer unit, you'd be tempted to run this thing to the car wash and wash that blower wheel real good, but it's 38 degrees out here, although we are having our spring thaw. Okay, motor is mounted back in there and got my wires routed through the hole, ground on it. The smart thing to do would be to wire this thing in and make sure it works. Make sure you didn't get a dead motor, straight out of the box, but I'm going to go ahead and put it together. Okay, we'll crimp a terminal on the end of these bare wires. Again, that is the white, which is the common, which on the old one was the purple, which was on this top terminal strip. So then, again, that's a park, and that's the actual, whichever one speed you want. We've got 3 speeds here, so I'm not going to have a place to park one of them, so I'll just have to make sure it don't touch anything. When I got here, of course, the red wire was what the speed tap was on, and I got ready to put this one back on red, but I got to looking at the old motor, and it was actually connected to the medium speed on this motor. Here's the red, it was wiring it off, so I'm going to go with the blue on the speed control. I'm going to park the black, and just because there's 2 terminals there, don't be tempted to park this red one on it too, or you won't have a good day. We'll just take this red one up and get him out of the way in there somewhere. Hey guys, let's see, we got 0.9 amps on that blower motor. So that's what's on the common. Yeah, 0.9 to 1. We've got 32 down here on the heater, which is a 7.5 kW, so that looks legit. I don't hear the limits cutting off anymore. It didn't take them long a few minutes ago, or an hour ago. So that just goes to show you, just because you think you know what's wrong with something, when you get there, it's probably going to be something else. So I'm going to button this thing up and head to the next job. I got a call from the little lady that I went to the day after Christmas. I got a video of it on here where she had no heat with a gas furnace, and all I wound up really doing was cleaning the flame sensor, because I couldn't find anything else going on. But she called and said that the furnace had blew the door off again. I said, does it do this often? And she says every now and then. So I'm not sure what I'm going to look for. I'm going to try to get those codes out of the board this time. I told her to turn the gas off. The only thing I know that would blow the door off the furnace would be if you build up LP gas behind the door and then it lit. So we got to see what's going on there. So I'm going straight there. I called the other people and told them I'd be delayed. Got a 7. Got a 7. Seven. Got an 8. Let's see what that is. Okay, we got 3 failed to light burners and 1 loss of flame during a call for heat. I'm going to assume that when I turned it off at the switch the other day while it was running, that would account for that number 8. But it don't think it's lighting. The flame sensor's clean. I'm going to pull that igniter out and make sure it's not got any kind of broken place. Just do a visual inspection of that igniter. Okay, it's reading 40 ohms. That looks about normal for something that's been in the flame all these years. Just going to take a look at it and see how it looks when it's lit up. You can't really see it when it's back there in the tray. I've just got the W signal jumped out here. Take it about 14 seconds to try to open the gas valve. I wish I had a sequence of operation on that board. Seems like a lot of the others purge a lot longer between cycles. But you know, if this thing tried to light and didn't think it was, you know, lighting, or if it didn't light and it dumped a bunch of gas in there and didn't run long enough to evacuate it, it probably would blow the door off, because propane's heavier than air and it would settle right down here. I'm going to light it once, turn the gas back on, and see what it, how long it takes to light, and then I want to experiment and see how long it takes to light with the, or how long it'll try to light with the flame sensor unplugged. Everything lights nice and pretty. Let me unplug that flame sensor and see what it does. Okay, flame sensor unhooked. Call off. We'll see what code we're getting. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And 7 was a failure to light burners, which is what we would hope to get with a bad flame sensor. So I don't know. I'm going to check for little leaks in here and see if we can find anything. Well, guys, I cycled that furnace 30 times and it worked right every single time. Even with the flame sensor unplugged, it seemed to purge long enough that, you know, it wouldn't be a problem. I leak checked everything with bubbles, and then because I couldn't find anything with bubbles, I actually came out and got a candle lighter. And I was thinking maybe some was leaking out of the orifice when it was, you know, off, or should have been off, and a little bit coming out there, but I could find nothing even with a flame. I even checked that stainless steel connector, thinking it might have a pinhole or something. I moved my Rubatex tape that I put on it the other day, checked where I thought it might have rubbed into the cabinet already before I got here, and I can't find a thing. And she's never smelled propane, and I haven't, you know, smelled it. when I'm there. And it's got to be something. I mean, what is it, 5 days since I was there, and it just did it this morning. She said it's done it before. I didn't know that. I'm going to call the distributor over there and see if they've got a field service rep I can talk to. What I would like to do personally, since she says it's 2 years old, so it's got warranty on it, I would like to put a new control board and a new gas valve on it. And of course, when I put that new gas valve on, I'll replace that stainless steel flex with a piece of black iron. Do it right. If you guys have had anything do this, leave me a comment down there in the doobly-doo down there, and tell me what you think it is or what you've seen before, because I'm totally at a loss right now. I'm sure it's something intermittent, and I'm sure it's something that's dumping gas in there at a time when it's not burning it. That's the only thing that could blow the doors off the furnace like that. So I'm going on to the next one and see what it's all about, and hopefully try to make some phone calls on my way and see what we can do with this guy. The sun is bright. Okay, I just left that last job. I didn't get any footage. It was an older fellow, and the unit was in his garage basement down there, so he stood right there with me the whole time and talked about all sorts of things that we probably shouldn't be putting on YouTube. But at any rate, his problem was the 30 amp breaker on the air handler had tripped. It had a 30 and a 60 15 kW heat kit, an old 1994 Goodman A36 air handler. It's an older unit, of course it's going to have to be replaced at some point in time, but he said he typically turns his auxiliary heat on, or turns his emergency heat on when it gets real cold outside, because the heat pump seems to run and run. I explained to him about the coefficient of performance and how much that compressor draws versus that 15 kW heat, but a lot of older people just like the warm heat too. So I would assume that during this cold snap we had, he had that thing on emergency heat, so it was running a lot. And the heat strip that was on the 30 amp breaker, which also happens to run the control voltage for the transformer and the fan and everything, had a burnt wire on the heat strip. The sequencer was kind of funny too. Sometimes it would come on, sometimes it would arc and come on. You could hear it crackling on the inside, and then sometimes it wouldn't even come on, no matter what you did, until you tapped on it. So he wound up getting a new wire and a new sequencer, a whole 3-stack for it. I'm waiting on a call back from the York distributor. I talked to the guy over there, and he said that he agreed with me that he thinks we should probably just throw some parts at it, put a gas valve and a control board on it. It's almost New Year's. I hope y'all have a wonderful 2021. Hopefully it's going to be better than 2020 for most of us. But y'all take care, and thanks for watching. And I'll see you on the next one.